Hello there, and welcome to Sleepy Science Vault. There is something quietly remarkable about the fact that you are listening to this right now, not reading it alone in silence, but letting a voice fill the space around you. And that instinct, the pull toward presence, toward company, even in the form of sound in a quiet room, is older than language itself. Tonight, we are going to explore why that is. We are going to look closely at the science of human connection, at why our species became what it is, not through isolation, but through togetherness. Let's begin at the beginning. Human beings are, at their core, social creatures. Not by accident, not by simple preference, but by design. Long before cities existed, before written history, before anything we would recognize as civilization, our ancestors were already living in groups. They hunted together. They raised children together. They shared food, shared shelter, shared the long dark hours of night when the world outside was full of things that could kill a lone person quickly and quietly. A human alone, thousands of years ago, was a vulnerable human. Slower than a predator. Weaker than many of the animals sharing that same landscape. Without claws, without great strength, without the kind of armor nature gave to other species. What our ancestors had instead was each other. Cooperation became our advantage. Groups could watch for danger in shifts. Groups could share the burden of finding food. Groups could protect the young and the old and the sick in ways a single person never could. And so, slowly, across an almost incomprehensible span of time, evolution began to favor those who could connect. Who could cooperate? Who could read the emotions of another person and respond to them? Who could form bonds strong enough to hold a group together through hardship, through scarcity, through the countless threats of an unforgiving world? This is the quiet truth sitting underneath fact number 1. Humans are social by nature, not because society decided this was a nice way to live, but because our ancient survival depended on it. The instinct to seek others, to want closeness, to feel unsettled by isolation, these are not modern inventions. They are inherited. They are, in the deepest sense, biological. Which brings us gently to our second thought tonight. Human connection isn't simply a cultural habit we picked up somewhere along the way. It is woven into biology itself, into the architecture of the human body and brain. This is why, no matter where you go in the world, no matter which culture, which century, which corner of human history you examine, you find the same underlying pattern. People form families. People form friendships. People form communities, tribes, villages, neighborhoods, nations. The details differ endlessly, the customs, the language, the traditions, but the underlying need remains constant. It's almost like a signature written into the human blueprint. Across deserts and mountains and forests and coastlines, in every era from ancient hunter-gatherer bands to modern city dwellers scrolling through their phones late at night, the thread is the same. People seek people. Because somewhere far back in our evolutionary story, the individuals who wanted closeness, who sought connection, who felt lonely enough to go looking for company, those were the individuals who survived long enough to pass that tendency on. So when you feel a pull towards someone, a friend you haven't spoken to in a while, a family member you miss, Even the comfort of a familiar voice like the one speaking to you now, you are feeling something ancient. Something that has been quietly guiding human behavior since long before anyone thought to write it down. Now, let's turn to something a little more precise. A little more clinical, though no less profound. Psychologists who study human motivation have long proposed that the need to belong isn't simply one preference among many. It isn't like preferring one flavor of food over another, or one type of music over another. Instead, it appears to function as a fundamental human motivation. Something closer to a foundational drive than a simple like or dislike. This idea suggests that belonging sits near the base of what moves us, what shapes our choices, what quietly influences the direction of a life. We often assume our biggest motivations are things like ambition, or curiosity, or the desire for achievement. And certainly, those matter. But underneath many of those pursuits, underneath the desire to succeed at work, to be respected, to be remembered, there often lies a simpler, older hope. The hope of being wanted, of matching to someone, of belonging somewhere. Think, for a moment, about how much of human behavior can trace back to this single need. Why we dress a certain way, hoping to fit in or stand out to the right people. Why we choose certain careers, certain cities, certain circles of friends. Why rejection, even small, seemingly minor rejection, can sting far more than logic would predict. If belonging were simply a preference, these reactions would make little sense. But if belonging is a fundamental motivation, something closer to a biological need, then all of this begins to make a strange and gentle kind of sense. And this leads us into our next thought, one that quietly expands the picture even further. It would be easy to assume that this need for belonging is only about close relationships. A partner, a best friend, a parent. And certainly, those bonds matter enormously. But research suggests something broader is happening beneath the surface. Humans appear to have an unconscious need to feel embedded not just in a few close relationships, but in a wider community altogether. This is worth sitting with for a moment. Even if a person has one or two close relationships they deeply value, something inside them can still quietly ache for a larger sense of belonging, a feeling of being part of something bigger. A neighborhood, a workplace, a group of people who share similar values or a similar identity. A community, in the fullest sense of the word. This might explain why someone can have a loving partner and still feel a certain kind of loneliness if they feel disconnected from a broader social world. Why moving to a new city, even with a supportive partner by your side, can still feel isolating until you begin to find your place within a wider web of people. The human need for connection isn't satisfied by a single thread. It seems to want an entire fabric, something surrounding you, holding you, in more than one direction. Now, let's move a little deeper. Into the biology of it all. Into the brain itself. Here is where the story becomes especially fascinating. Some of the most compelling research in this area suggests that humans are so strongly wired for connection that the brain can treat social deprivation almost like a basic need state, not unlike hunger, or thirst, or the need for sleep. Let that idea settle for a moment. We tend to think of loneliness as an emotion, a feeling that comes and goes, shaped by circumstance. But what if, biologically, loneliness behaves more like a signal, an alarm, similar to the one your body sends when it needs food or water? A message from deep within, saying something is missing, something essential. This reframes the entire conversation. If connection functions as a basic need rather than a simple emotional preference, then the ache of loneliness isn't weakness. It isn't oversensitivity. It is the body doing exactly what it was designed to do, alerting you that an important resource, in this case social closeness, has become dangerously low. And this idea is echoed in the sixth thought we want to explore tonight. Research suggests the brain may process loneliness in ways that closely resemble how it processes hunger or thirst. Some neuroscience studies have looked at brain activity in people experiencing social isolation, and found patterns of activation that overlap with the brain's response to physical deprivation. The regions involved in craving, in urgency, in the sense that something must be addressed, those regions light up in strikingly similar ways whether the deprivation is social or physical. This is a profound thing to consider. It means that when someone says, "I just need to see people," they may be speaking with more biological accuracy than we usually give credit for. It isn't simply a want. In many cases, it may be closer to a need the brain is actively, urgently, signaling for. Which brings us naturally to our next fact, one that many people will recognize instantly, even if they've never had the words to describe it before. People can crave social contact in a way that closely resembles hunger, especially during periods of loneliness. Have you ever noticed that feeling, after a long stretch of isolation, where the idea of simply being around other people, even without talking much, starts to feel almost irresistible? A kind of pull, a restlessness, an unmistakable craving. This is that same mechanism at work. The mind, deprived of connection for too long, begins to signal its need more and more insistently, much like the body does when a meal has been missed for too long. And just as hunger can make food thoughts intrusive and persistent, prolonged loneliness can make thoughts of connection, of conversation, of company, of simply being seen by another person, equally persistent. It's a strange kind of hunger. One that can't be satisfied with food, no matter how much you eat. One that quietly waits in the background until it is finally fed, not by nutrients, but by presence, by voice, by eye contact, by the simple, understated experience of being with another person. Now, let's turn towards something a little more tender, a little more emotionally raw. Humans often find separation from others deeply distressing, not simply inconvenient, not simply unpleasant, but genuinely distressing, because losing connection activates strong emotional responses within us. Think about the emotional weight carried by goodbyes, by distance, by the ending of relationships, whether through circumstance or choice. There's a reason these moments can feel so heavy, so disproportionate, sometimes, to what seems like just a change in circumstance. Losing connection doesn't simply remove a convenience from your life. It touches something ancient and protective inside you, a system built, over countless generations, to treat social loss as something significant, something the body and mind are compelled to respond to. This is why grief over a lost friendship can feel eerily similar, in some ways, to grief over other kinds of loss. Why the ending of a relationship, even one that wasn't perfect, can still leave behind a lingering ache. The nervous system isn't being dramatic. It's doing exactly what evolution shaped it to do, treating disconnection as a meaningful, serious event. And this leads directly into our next thought, one that reveals just how seriously the brain takes social pain. Humans often experience genuine pain in response to exclusion, because the brain appears to treat social rejection as a serious threat, not simply an emotional inconvenience, but something closer to danger. Researchers have found that experiences of social exclusion can activate brain regions associated with physical pain. This means that being left out, ignored, or rejected isn't merely in your head in some dismissive sense. It can register, neurologically, in ways that overlap with the sensation of physical hurt. This is why the words "it hurt to be excluded" or "that really hurt my feelings" aren't just figures of speech. In a very real, very physical sense, they may be closer to literal truth than most of us realize. The sting of being left out of a gathering. The quiet ache of a text left unanswered. The heaviness of feeling invisible in a room full of people. These experiences tap into some of the same neural pathways that respond to bodily injury. Which brings us to our 10th and final thought for this opening chapter of our journey together. Humans need connection, in part, because social belonging can buffer the brain's threat response, making the world feel less dangerous, less overwhelming, less uncertain. When you feel securely connected to others, something shifts internally. The nervous system, sensing safety in numbers, sensing support nearby, tends to relax its guard just slightly. The world can still be unpredictable, still be difficult, still hold hardship and uncertainty, but with connection nearby, it tends to feel more survivable, more manageable, less like something you have to face entirely alone. This is perhaps one of the most quietly beautiful truths about human connection. It doesn't just make life more enjoyable. It changes how safe the world feels beneath your feet. It softens the sharp edges of uncertainty. It offers the nervous system permission to soften, to rest, to stop bracing quite so hard against whatever comes next. And so, as we come to the end of this first chapter, a picture begins to form. One shaped across millions of years of evolution, written quietly into biology, into brain chemistry, into the very architecture of what it means to be human. Connection isn't an accessory to human life. It isn't a luxury reserved for the fortunate few. It is, in many ways, foundational, as essential, in its own way, as food, or water, or rest. In the next chapter, we'll continue exploring this landscape further, moving deeper into the psychology of belonging, and uncovering even more about why the human heart and mind are so quietly, so persistently, drawn toward one another. For now, simply notice, wherever you are, however you're listening, that the need you feel for connection, in whatever form it takes, is not something to question or doubt. It is, quite simply, human. So let's continue from where we left off, with the understanding that connection isn't simply something humans want, but something the body and brain are built to reward. Because here is where the story becomes even more intricate. It isn't enough that we're driven to seek connection. The brain also makes sure that when we find it, when we experience it, it feels good. Genuinely, chemically good. The brain is, in many ways, designed to reward positive interactions. This isn't a coincidence, and it isn't simply a pleasant side effect of being around people we like. It's a deliberate mechanism, built through countless generations of evolutionary refinement, ensuring that connection doesn't just feel neutral or tolerable, but genuinely satisfying. Rewarding, in the truest sense of the word. Think about the last time you had a warm, easy conversation with someone you trust. Perhaps laughter came easily. Perhaps the conversation flowed without much effort, without much thought, simply unfolding naturally between two people who felt comfortable together. There's a reason that moment likely left you feeling lighter afterward, maybe even a little more energized. Your brain was quietly working behind the scenes, releasing chemicals designed to make that experience memorable and worth repeating. This leads us into something a bit more specific. A bit more biochemical. Connection can trigger the release of certain brain chemicals, among them dopamine and endorphins, both of which play significant roles in supporting happiness and motivation. Dopamine, often associated with reward and pleasure, tends to rise during moments of positive social interaction. It's part of what makes connecting with others feel worthwhile, part of what motivates us to seek it out again and again, much like it motivates us toward other essential behaviors that helped our ancestors survive. Endorphins, meanwhile, are often linked to feelings of comfort, even mild euphoria. They can act almost like the body's natural way of easing tension, of softening stress, of creating a subtle sense of ease within the nervous system. When these chemicals rise during a warm interaction, a good conversation, a shared laugh, a comforting presence nearby, the result is a feeling that many people simply describe as happiness. But underneath that simple word lies an intricate biochemical process, quietly reinforcing the idea that connection matters. That it's worth pursuing. That it's worth protecting. And this dovetails beautifully into our next point. Supportive relationships appear to do something remarkable within the brain. They can activate the brain's reward centers, the same regions associated with pleasure and motivation, while simultaneously lowering stress. This dual effect is worth pausing on for a moment, because it's rare to find something that works on both fronts at once. Most things in life tend to either excite us or calm us, but rarely both at the same time. Yet supportive relationships seem to manage this delicate balance. Being around someone who makes you feel safe, who listens without judgment, who simply exists as a steady presence in your life, can simultaneously spark feelings of reward while easing the body's stress response. The heart rate may settle. Breathing may slow. And at the same time, something inside brightens, lifts, feels more alive. This is part of why time spent with the right people can feel so restorative. It isn't only relaxing, the way rest might be relaxing. It's also quietly energizing, nourishing in a way that's hard to fully put into words, but easy to recognize once you've felt it. Now let's turn to something a little more physical. a little more embodied. There's a phenomenon researchers refer to as social synchrony, the tendency for people to unconsciously mirror one another during interaction. This might look like matching body language, matching tone of voice, even matching breathing patterns or moving in a similar rhythm during conversation or shared activity. This kind of synchrony often happens without either person realizing it. Two friends might unconsciously adjust their walking pace to match each other. A group of people dancing together or singing together may fall into rhythm almost automatically. Even simple things, like nodding along during a conversation or subtly mirroring someone's posture while they speak, can be part of this quiet, wordless choreography humans engage in almost constantly. And interestingly, this synchrony appears to deepen feelings of connection. When movement, rhythm, or expression aligns between two or more people, something in the brain seems to interpret this as closeness, as trust, as belonging to the same emotional wavelength. It's a subtle, often invisible thread, but a powerful one nonetheless. This naturally brings us to something even more tangible. Something many of us underestimate in its importance. Physical touch, such as a hug or a handshake, can strengthen feelings of closeness and social satisfaction in ways that words alone often cannot achieve. There is something uniquely powerful about touch. It bypasses language entirely. It communicates safety, warmth, and reassurance on a level that feels almost primal. A hug from someone you trust can shift your entire emotional state within seconds. A simple handshake can establish a sense of respect and connection before a single word is spoken. Even something as small as a comforting hand on the shoulder can convey more empathy, more solidarity, than an entire paragraph of spoken comfort. This leads us into a related, and equally important, idea. Touch appears to be a genuinely important part of social connection, not simply a pleasant addition to conversation or companionship, but a distinct and essential component of how humans bond with one another. Some researchers believe that touch may be one of the earliest and most fundamental forms of communication humans ever developed, long before spoken language existed in anything close to its modern form. Even today, in a world filled with words, messages, and constant verbal communication, touch retains its quiet power. It can express what language sometimes struggles to convey: comfort during grief, solidarity during hardship, warmth during celebration. It seems that no matter how sophisticated our language becomes, the body still remembers this older, simpler form of connection. Now, let's shift our attention toward the beginning of life itself, toward where this entire journey of connection first takes root. Social connection begins remarkably early, often through the earliest bond a person ever forms: the attachment between a child and their caregiver. This bond, formed in infancy, doesn't just provide comfort or safety in the moment. It often becomes a kind of blueprint, quietly shaping the way a person approaches relationships for the rest of their life. When an infant cries and is met with comfort, when a baby reaches out and is met with warmth, something important is being communicated, long before the child understands language. The message, in its simplest form, is this: connection is safe. Connection is reliable. The world responds when I reach out. This early experience helps form what psychologists refer to as secure attachment, a foundation that tends to support healthy emotional development well into adulthood. Children who experience consistent, warm caregiving often grow into adults who find it easier to trust others, easier to form close relationships, easier to regulate their emotions during times of stress. Of course, not every early experience unfolds this way, and human development is far more complex than any single explanation could capture. But broadly speaking, these earliest bonds tend to leave a lasting imprint, shaping the emotional architecture a person carries with them into every relationship that follows. This brings us to something equally profound: the way human bonds help shape not just our emotional patterns, but our very sense of self. Human bonds play a significant role in shaping identity, largely because people often learn who they are through feedback and interaction with others. We don't develop a sense of self in isolation. From childhood onward, we absorb reflections of ourselves through the eyes of the people around us, through how they respond to us, encourage us, challenge us, or affirm us. A parent's early encouragement might quietly plant the first seeds of confidence. A friend's honest feedback might help someone recognize a strength they hadn't noticed in themselves. Even difficult relationships, in their own complicated way, often teach lessons about boundaries, resilience, or self-understanding. In many ways, identity isn't built alone in a quiet room, disconnected from the world. It's built through countless small moments of interaction, a gentle, ongoing negotiation between who we believe ourselves to be and how the people around us reflect that belief back to us. And finally, let's widen our lens just a little further, beyond the individual, and into something larger. Something that spans generations. Shared social experiences play an essential role in transmitting culture, values, and knowledge from one generation to the next. Long before written records existed, humans passed down everything that mattered: survival skills, moral lessons, spiritual beliefs, practical wisdom, through shared experience. Through storytelling around fires. Through elders teaching children. Through communities working, celebrating, and grieving together. Even today, in a world filled with books, screens, and digital archives, so much of what we understand about the world still comes through relationships. Through conversations with parents, mentors, friends, and strangers who shape our thinking in ways both large and small. Culture doesn't simply exist in libraries or museums. It lives, breathes, and continues through connection, passed quietly from person to person, generation to generation, like a flame carried carefully through the dark. And so, as this second chapter draws to a gentle close, a deeper picture continues to take shape. Connection doesn't only keep us safe, as we explored earlier. It rewards us biochemically. It shapes our earliest emotional foundations. It molds our sense of identity. And it carries forward everything that makes us who we are, generation after generation. In the chapter ahead, we'll continue this journey even further, exploring more of what happens within the mind and body when connection is present, and equally, what happens when it's missing. For now, let this settle quietly, the understanding that every warm interaction, every comforting touch, every shared moment with another person, is part of something far older and far more essential than it may have ever seemed. Let's turn now towards something a little less visible than warmth or comfort, though no less important: the way connection quietly shapes the mind itself. Not just how we feel, but how we think, how we understand others, and how we function in the world around us. Human connection helps people develop empathy, largely by regularly exposing them to other perspectives and emotions. Empathy isn't something we're simply born knowing how to do perfectly. It's something that grows, strengthens, and refines itself through repeated exposure to other people's inner worlds. Every conversation, every shared story, every moment of listening to someone else's joy or struggle, quietly trains the mind to imagine life from another vantage point. Think about how differently you understand grief after truly listening to someone who has lost a loved one. Or how your sense of another culture deepens after spending real time with someone who lives inside it. These moments aren't just informative. They're formative. Each interaction adds another thread to the tapestry of how well you can understand and feel with the people around you. This leads naturally into something a bit more precise: the idea that the need to belong may actually sharpen certain social skills, almost as if the desire for closeness fine-tunes the instruments we use to achieve it. The need to belong appears to improve what researchers call empathic accuracy, the ability to correctly read facial expressions, vocal tones, and subtle emotional cues in others. In a sense, wanting connection may make us better at achieving it. When belonging matters to someone, their brain may become more attentive to the small emotional signals other people send, whether it's a flicker of hesitation in someone's voice, or the barely noticeable tension in someone's expression. This isn't a conscious effort in most cases. It happens quietly, beneath awareness, almost like an internal recalibration. The desire to connect seems to sharpen our perception of others, helping us notice not just what people say, but what they mean beneath the words. And this idea deepens even further with our next thought. Social connectedness itself can increase empathy toward other people. It's a kind of gentle cycle. The more connected someone feels, the more empathy they tend to extend outward. And the more empathy they extend outward, the stronger their connections tend to become. It's not unlike a muscle that grows stronger the more it's used, except in this case, the muscle is emotional understanding, and the exercise is simply being present with other people, again and again, over time. This is part of why isolation can sometimes create a kind of emotional stiffness, while connection tends to keep something more supple, more attuned, more open within us. Now, let's look at something a little more practical: the way social interaction helps maintain skills we often take for granted. Social interaction helps keep communication skills sharp, including listening, speaking, and reading social cues. Much like physical skills weaken without practice, social skills, too, can dull when they aren't regularly exercised. The ability to hold a natural conversation, to read a room, to sense when someone needs comfort rather than advice, these are skills built and maintained through repeated use. Every conversation you have, from the smallest exchange with a stranger to the deepest talk with someone close to you, is quietly keeping this part of your mind limber. Listening attentively. Responding thoughtfully. Noticing the small shifts in someone's tone or expression. All of it works together like a kind of ongoing rehearsal, ensuring that when connection is needed, the skills required to nurture it remain ready and responsive. This brings us to a related, and deeply human, need, the desire not just to interact, but to feel understood. Shared understanding with others is a key part of social connection, and it plays a meaningful role in supporting overall well-being. There's a particular kind of relief that comes from being truly understood by another person, when you don't have to over-explain, when someone simply gets what you mean, when a shared glance can communicate more than paragraphs of words ever could. This shared understanding often develops slowly, built through repeated experiences, inside jokes, familiar patterns of thought, and the quiet accumulation of history between two people. And once it exists, it becomes a source of profound comfort. To be understood, even imperfectly, even only in certain moments, is one of the great emotional relief valves of being human. Let's now widen our view towards something a bit more logical, the way relationships can actually improve the quality of our thinking, not just our feelings. Social relationships can improve decision-making, largely because other people provide feedback, correction, and new information we might not access on our own. No single mind holds every perspective, every piece of knowledge, every angle needed to make the wisest choice in every situation. But a network of trusted relationships can offer exactly that, a wider pool of insight to draw from. A friend might point out a blind spot you hadn't considered. A mentor might offer wisdom shaped by experiences you haven't yet lived. Even a simple conversation, where someone gently challenges an assumption you didn't realize you were making, can shift the outcome of an important decision entirely. In this way, connection doesn't just support emotional life. It actively strengthens the quality of our thinking. This naturally leads into a broader truth about belonging itself. Belonging to others influences cognitive processes as well as emotions, shaping not just how people feel, but how they think and act. This is a subtle but important distinction. We often assume connection primarily affects mood, that it makes us happier, calmer, more at ease. And certainly, it does. But its influence reaches further than that, quietly touching memory, attention, reasoning, and behavior as well. When someone feels securely connected, their mind often has more capacity available for higher-level thinking, simply because less energy is being spent managing the discomfort of isolation or social uncertainty. Belonging, in this sense, doesn't just soothe the heart. It frees up the mind. And this idea becomes even more concrete in our next thought. Being part of a group may improve executive function and broader cognitive performance. Executive function refers to a set of mental skills including planning, focus, impulse control, and flexible thinking, the kind of cognitive tools we rely on for almost everything meaningful we do. Interestingly, research suggests that a sense of group belonging can support these very functions. This may be because group belonging reduces the underlying stress and vigilance that isolation often creates. When the brain isn't preoccupied with monitoring for social threat or dealing with the discomfort of exclusion, more cognitive resources become available for clear thinking, sustained focus, and thoughtful decision-making. This connects beautifully with our next point, especially in more collaborative settings. feeling socially included can make people perform better on collaborative tasks, largely because they want to contribute and feel valued within the group. When someone feels like a respected part of a team, motivation tends to rise naturally. There's a quiet desire to give something meaningful back to the group, to be helpful, to be seen as capable, to feel that their presence matters to the shared outcome. This is part of why teams with strong interpersonal trust often outperform teams with talented individuals who don't feel a true sense of belonging. Skill matters, of course. But motivation, fueled by genuine inclusion, often becomes the quiet engine behind truly exceptional collaborative work. And finally, for this chapter, let's turn to something deeply personal, the way belonging touches our ability to manage ourselves. Social belonging can boost self-regulation, helping people control impulses and stick to meaningful goals. This might seem surprising at first. We tend to think of self-control as a purely individual trait, something a person either has or doesn't have, entirely on their own. But research suggests that our capacity for self-regulation is deeply influenced by our social environment. When people feel securely connected, supported, and valued, they often find it easier to resist short-term temptations in favor of long-term goals. Perhaps because belonging reduces stress. Perhaps because supportive relationships offer accountability and encouragement. Perhaps because feeling valued gives people a stronger sense of purpose worth protecting through disciplined choices. Whatever the underlying reason, the pattern remains clear. Connection doesn't just make life feel warmer. It can make us steadier, more focused, and more capable of becoming the people we hope to be. And so, as this chapter comes to a gentle close, a fuller picture continues to emerge. Human connection doesn't only shape our emotions and our biology. It shapes our minds as well, sharpening empathy, strengthening communication, improving decision-making, and quietly supporting the discipline required to pursue our goals. In the chapter ahead, we'll continue exploring this intricate relationship between connection and the human mind, uncovering even more about the quiet, powerful ways other people help shape who we become. For now, simply notice how much of your own thinking, your own growth, your own sense of self, has been shaped by the people who have moved through your life, a quiet reminder that we were never truly meant to think or grow entirely alone. Let's continue this exploration a little further, into the way connection doesn't just support the mind in the moment, but helps carry people toward the futures they hope to build. Belonging to a group can increase motivation and help people stay committed to their goals over time. There's something quietly powerful about pursuing something larger than yourself alongside others who share that same pursuit. A runner training alone might lose motivation on a difficult morning. But a runner training with a group often finds themselves showing up anyway, not wanting to let the group down, drawing energy from the shared commitment surrounding them. This pattern shows up again and again across different areas of life. Students studying together. Coworkers working toward a shared deadline. Communities rallying around a common cause. When a goal is held collectively, rather than carried alone, something shifts. The weight becomes lighter. The motivation becomes steadier. And progress, even through difficulty, tends to feel more sustainable. This connects closely with our next idea, which speaks to something even more personal: willpower itself. Connection with others can increase willpower and make goals genuinely easier to stick to. Willpower is often imagined as something purely internal, a kind of inner strength a person either has enough of or doesn't. But like so much of human psychology, willpower doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's deeply influenced by our surroundings, and particularly by our relationships. When someone feels supported by people who believe in their goals, encourage their progress, and gently hold them accountable, their resolve tends to strengthen. A quiet word of encouragement at the right moment. A friend checking in to ask how things are going. Even simply knowing that someone else is aware of your goal can create a subtle, steady pressure that helps carry you through moments of doubt or fatigue. In this way, willpower isn't only a solitary resource we draw from within ourselves. It's something relationships can quietly replenish, again and again, especially during the moments we need it most. Now, let's turn our attention towards something particularly important for the younger years of life: the role connection plays in learning and development. Positive relationships with peers, parents, and teachers are consistently linked to better academic outcomes in children and teenagers. This connection makes a great deal of sense once we consider how deeply emotional security influences a young person's ability to focus, absorb information, and engage meaningfully with learning. A child who feels emotionally safe at home often carries that sense of security into the classroom. A teenager who feels genuinely supported by a teacher may be more willing to ask questions, take intellectual risks, and stay engaged even when material becomes challenging. Peer relationships, too, play a significant role. Friendships can offer encouragement during difficult subjects, shared motivation during exam seasons, and simply the comfort of not facing academic pressure entirely alone. And this pattern holds true consistently across research in this area. Positive relationships with the important people surrounding a young person's life, whether family, friends, or educators, tend to correlate with stronger academic performance and healthier engagement with learning overall. It seems that the emotional foundation surrounding a young mind often shapes how well that mind is able to grow, focus, and thrive. Now, let's shift from the classroom into the wider world of community and work. Being involved in community activities, such as volunteering, can meaningfully improve employment outcomes for individuals. This might seem, at first glance, like an unexpected connection. How does helping at a food bank or volunteering with a local organization relate to finding a job? But community involvement often builds more than just goodwill. It builds skills. It builds networks. It builds confidence, structure, and a renewed sense of purpose, all qualities that can meaningfully support someone during a job search. Volunteering can also open doors to relationships and opportunities that might never have appeared through traditional job searching alone. This idea deepens further in our next thought. Participation in community activities can specifically help unemployed individuals move toward becoming employed once again. For someone navigating unemployment, community involvement can offer more than just practical benefits like skill building or networking. It can offer emotional steadiness during an especially vulnerable period of life. Unemployment can sometimes bring feelings of isolation, or a quiet erosion of confidence and purpose. Community involvement can help counter this. It creates structure. It creates a reason to engage with the world each day. It reconnects a person to a sense of contribution and value, even while their formal employment status remains uncertain. And often, it's within these very community spaces that new opportunities, new connections, and new paths forward begin to emerge. Now, let's turn to something foundational for how groups function well together: trust. Social connection is closely linked to greater trust and cooperation, both of which help groups work better together. Trust doesn't appear instantly. It's built gradually, through repeated positive interactions over time. But once established, trust becomes one of the most valuable resources a group can hold. It reduces friction. It increases willingness to collaborate. It allows people to take reasonable risks together, knowing they're supported rather than judged. Groups where trust runs deep tend to communicate more openly, resolve conflict more effectively, and work toward shared goals with far greater ease than groups where suspicion or disconnect lingers beneath the surface. This naturally connects to our next point, which highlights exactly how that trust tends to form. Regular interaction helps people build trust, and trust, in turn, becomes essential for cooperation within families, schools, and workplaces. Trust isn't usually built through single dramatic moments. More often, it's built slowly, through consistency, through showing up, again and again, in small reliable ways. A parent who consistently follows through on promises. A coworker who reliably meets their commitments. A friend who remains steady through both easy and difficult seasons. Over time, these repeated moments accumulate into something solid. A foundation strong enough to support real cooperation, real vulnerability, and real collaboration, whether within a family navigating challenges together, a classroom working toward shared understanding, or a workplace striving toward a common goal. Now, let's turn to something a little more emotionally nuanced, a distinction worth sitting with carefully. Humans tend to feel more connected when they feel loved, cared for, and genuinely valued, not simply when they happen to be physically around other people. This distinction matters deeply. It's entirely possible to be surrounded by others and still feel deeply lonely, if that presence lacks warmth, attentiveness, or genuine care. True connection isn't measured by proximity alone. It's measured by the quality of the emotional experience shared between people. A crowded room can feel isolating if no one truly sees you. A quiet moment with just one caring person can feel deeply connecting, precisely because it's filled with warmth and genuine regard. And this brings us to a fitting close for this chapter. Human connection helps people feel seen, valued, and heard, and this experience plays a significant role in supporting overall well-being. To be truly seen by another person, to have your thoughts, your feelings, your presence acknowledged and valued, is one of the quiet gifts that makes life feel meaningful. It reassures us that we exist not just physically in the world, but meaningfully within the lives of others. This feeling of being valued doesn't require grand gestures. Often, it's found in small moments. Someone remembering a detail you mentioned in passing. Someone pausing to genuinely listen, rather than simply waiting for their turn to speak. Someone noticing when something feels off, even before you've said a word. And so, as this chapter gently comes to a close, another layer of understanding settles into place. Connection doesn't just support survival, biology, or cognition. It fuels motivation. It strengthens willpower. It shapes the trajectories of young lives. It rebuilds confidence during life's more uncertain chapters. And at its heart, it offers something simple, yet profound: the quiet, steady experience of being seen, valued, and truly heard. In the chapter ahead, we'll continue this journey a little further still, exploring even more dimensions of how deeply connection shapes the human experience. For now, let this thought settle gently, that somewhere, in ways both small and significant, the people who have truly seen you, valued you, and heard you, have helped shape the person you are continuing to become. Let's move now into something worth clarifying carefully, a distinction between quantity and quality, one that shapes so much of how connection actually functions in a person's life. A sense of belonging isn't simply about having many friends. It depends far more on how connected a person genuinely feels, regardless of how large or small their social circle happens to be. This is an important correction to a common assumption. We often measure social success by numbers: how many friends someone has, how many people show up to a gathering, how full someone's contact list appears. But belonging doesn't work quite like that. It isn't a matter of quantity. It's a matter of depth. Someone with a wide circle of acquaintances might still feel a quiet ache of loneliness if none of those relationships carry real emotional closeness. Meanwhile, someone with only one or two deeply trusted relationships might feel entirely secure, entirely held, entirely at peace within their social world. The number matters far less than the feeling underneath it. This idea continues beautifully into our next thought. Emotional closeness can improve well-being even when relationships aren't large in number, as long as those relationships feel secure and meaningful. This is, in many ways, reassuring. It means a person doesn't need an expansive social circle to feel genuinely connected. What matters most is whether the relationships they do have feel safe, whether they feel able to be honest, to be vulnerable, to be fully themselves without fear of judgment or rejection. A single friendship, built on trust and understanding, can offer more genuine emotional nourishment than dozens of surface-level acquaintances ever could. Depth, it seems, tends to matter far more than breadth when it comes to the human experience of belonging. And this leads directly into an important, sometimes overlooked truth. A low sense of connection can be genuinely harmful, even if a person has many acquaintances, because felt belonging matters more than the size of someone's social network. This is worth sitting with for a moment, especially in a world that often equates visibility with connection. Someone can appear, from the outside, to have an active, full social life, filled with events, gatherings, group chats, and casual friendships. And yet, internally, they may still feel quietly unseen, quietly disconnected, quietly alone. This is because the brain and body don't respond to social quantity. They respond to felt experience. If someone doesn't feel truly known, truly valued, truly close to the people around them, the protective benefits of connection we've explored throughout this journey may not fully activate, no matter how many people surround them. Now, let's turn to something practical, something that speaks to just how much genuine closeness actually requires. Interestingly, one study suggested that forming a close friendship may take around 200 hours of shared time. This number might feel surprising at first, but it offers a valuable insight into why deep friendships often take much longer to develop than casual ones. 200 hours is a significant investment. It might unfold across countless small moments, conversations after work, shared meals, difficult days navigated together, celebrations shared side by side. It's rarely built through a single dramatic bonding experience. More often, it accumulates slowly, almost invisibly, through consistency and repeated presence over time. This helps explain why close friendships often feel so different from newer relationships. They've had time to deepen, to be tested, to prove themselves reliable across many different circumstances. And this patience, this slow accumulation of shared hours, seems to be an essential ingredient in the kind of closeness that truly nourishes a person over the long term. This brings us to something equally meaningful, the role shared experiences play in creating not just closeness, but lasting memory and meaning. Shared experiences create memories and meaning that are often harder to build in isolation. Think about the moments in your life that feel most vivid, most significant, most emotionally rich. Chances are, many of them involve other people. A trip taken with close friends. A difficult challenge overcome alongside someone who supported you through it. A quiet, ordinary evening that somehow became memorable simply because of who you were with. Experiences shared with others seem to carry a different emotional weight than experiences lived alone. Perhaps because shared moments become part of a larger, collective story, something that can be revisited, retold, and relived together in conversation for years afterward. Isolation, by contrast, can make even meaningful moments feel somehow smaller, quieter, harder to fully hold on to. Now, let's turn to something a little more communal, an experience many people recognize instantly, even if they've never quite named why it feels so powerful. Even large group events, like concerts or sports games, can satisfy a basic human need to feel part of a wider community. There's something remarkable about standing in a crowd of strangers, all sharing the same emotional wave, singing the same song, cheering for the same team, feeling the same collective excitement ripple through the space. In these moments, personal identity gently expands to include something larger. You're no longer simply an individual in a crowd. You become part of something bigger, a temporary, shared community bound together by a common experience. This is part of why these events can feel so emotionally satisfying, even among people you've never met and likely never will again. The human need for belonging doesn't only seek close relationships. It also seeks these larger, collective moments of unity. Now, let's turn towards something gentler, yet deeply significant, the emotional reward of kindness itself. Kindness toward other people can feel more rewarding than focusing only on self-kindness. This might seem like a subtle idea, but it holds real psychological weight. While self-care and self-compassion certainly matter, research suggests that acts of kindness directed outward, toward others, often produce a distinct kind of emotional satisfaction, sometimes even more powerful than self-focused comfort alone. There's a quiet joy in helping someone else, in offering comfort during their hard day, in giving without expecting anything in return. This kind of generosity seems to activate something deeply rewarding within us, reinforcing, once again, just how central connection and care for others are to human happiness. Now, let's turn towards something especially important for emotional well-being. Social connection plays a significant role in supporting mental health, particularly by helping reduce anxiety and depression. This is one of the most consistently supported findings across psychological research. People who maintain strong, supportive relationships tend to experience lower rates of anxiety and depressive symptoms, compared to those who experience chronic isolation or disconnection. This makes sense when we consider everything we've explored so far. Connection soothes the nervous system. It regulates stress. It offers emotional support during difficult times. It provides perspective, encouragement, and reassurance when life feels overwhelming. All of these protective effects work together to create a kind of emotional buffer, one that can meaningfully reduce the risk and the intensity of anxiety and depression. This idea is reinforced further in our next thought. Feeling connected to others can reduce anxiety and depression, particularly by offering emotional support during difficult or overwhelming moments. When life becomes hard, when stress builds, when sadness lingers, when anxious thoughts spiral late into the night, having someone to turn to can make an enormous difference. Sometimes simply speaking a worry aloud to someone who listens without judgment can ease its intensity. Sometimes simply knowing you're not facing a struggle entirely alone is enough to soften its weight, even before any solution has been found. And finally, for this chapter, let's turn to something that ties much of this together. Feeling connected can lower stress and improve emotional regulation. When someone feels supported, secure, and understood, their nervous system tends to remain calmer, even amid life's inevitable challenges. Emotional regulation, the ability to manage difficult feelings without becoming overwhelmed by them, tends to strengthen in the presence of steady, trustworthy relationships. In this way, connection doesn't just make difficult emotions more bearable in the moment. Over time, it can actually help reshape how effectively a person navigates emotional difficulty altogether, offering not just comfort, but genuine emotional resilience. And so, as this chapter gently comes to a close, an important truth continues to deepen. Connection was never truly about numbers, or visibility, or how full a calendar looks with plans and gatherings. It's about depth. About feeling truly seen, truly valued, truly close to even just a few meaningful people. It's found in shared hours slowly building trust, in collective moments of unity, in quiet acts of kindness, and in the steady emotional safety that allows anxiety and stress to soften their grip. In the chapter ahead, we'll continue this exploration even further, moving deeper into how connection shapes resilience, health, and the long arc of a well-lived life. For now, simply let this understanding settle gently within you, that true belonging was never about being surrounded by many. It was always about being truly known, even by a few. Let's continue now into something particularly relevant for anyone who has ever lain awake at night, caught in the grip of their own thoughts. The way connection can gently interrupt patterns of unhelpful, repetitive thinking. Human connection can reduce harmful rumination by shifting attention away from negative thought loops. Rumination, that familiar experience of replaying a worry, a mistake, or a fear over and over in the mind, can be exhausting. It has a way of pulling attention inward, trapping a person in cycles of thought that rarely lead anywhere productive. But connection has a quiet way of interrupting this pattern. A conversation with someone you trust can gently pull your focus outward, away from the internal spiral, and into the present moment. Their voice, their presence, their attention, all offer something for the mind to hold on to besides the worry itself. Sometimes simply being asked "How are you, really?" by someone who genuinely wants to know can be enough to loosen the grip of a thought loop that felt inescapable moments before. This connects closely to something equally important: the way emotional regulation itself often functions differently depending on whether we're alone or supported. Humans often regulate emotions more effectively in the presence of trusted people than they do alone. This might feel intuitive once you consider it, but its implications run deep. Difficult emotions, sadness, fear, frustration, grief, tend to feel more manageable when shared with someone who offers steady, calm support. It's as though another person's presence can help anchor an emotional storm, offering something solid to hold on to amid the turbulence. This is part of why simply sitting with someone during a hard moment, even without saying much at all, can feel so soothing. Their quiet presence alone can help regulate the nervous system, offering a kind of co-regulation that solitary coping often struggles to achieve on its own. Now, let's turn towards something deeply restorative: the relationship between connection and something as fundamental as sleep. Positive relationships can improve sleep quality, largely because people often feel safer and less tense when they feel genuinely supported. Sleep, at its core, requires a certain degree of physiological safety. The body needs to sense that it can lower its guard, release tension, and rest without needing to remain alert to potential threat. When someone feels secure in their relationships, loved, supported, unafraid of conflict or abandonment, this sense of safety often extends into their physical body as well. Muscles relax more easily. The mind quiets more readily. Sleep, in this way, becomes not just a biological process, but an emotional one as well, deeply influenced by the quality of connection surrounding a person's daily life. This naturally leads us into a broader, longer-term picture: the relationship between connection and chronic stress. Regular connection can reduce the harmful effects of chronic stress on both the brain and the body. Chronic stress, when left unaddressed, can quietly wear down nearly every system it touches: the cardiovascular system, the immune system, even the structures within the brain itself responsible for memory and emotional regulation. But social connection appears to offer a kind of protective buffer against this ongoing wear. When someone experiences regular emotional support, their body's stress response doesn't have to remain activated for as long, or as intensely, during difficult periods. Over time, this can meaningfully reduce the cumulative toll that chronic stress might otherwise take, both physically and neurologically. This idea continues in our next thought: expanding the picture even further. Connection with others can reduce the negative effects of stress on both the body and the mind. It's worth pausing here to appreciate just how far-reaching this protective effect seems to be. Stress touches nearly every part of human functioning: physical health, emotional stability, cognitive clarity, even the ability to make thoughtful decisions. And yet, connection appears to soften stress's impact across nearly all of these domains simultaneously. This might be because supportive relationships offer practical help during stressful periods, someone to share the burden with, someone to offer guidance, someone simply to lighten the emotional load. Or it might be because connection itself soothes the nervous system directly, reducing the intensity of the body's stress response before it has the chance to compound. Likely, it's some meaningful combination of both. Now, let's turn to something particularly hopeful: the way connection influences how effectively we recover from stress, not just how we manage it in the moment. Social connection can improve the body's stress response, helping people recover more quickly after difficult events. Recovery matters just as much as the initial response to stress. A resilient system isn't necessarily one that avoids stress altogether. That's simply not realistic in a human life. Rather, resilience often looks like the ability to return to a calm, balanced state after a challenging experience has passed. Social connection appears to support exactly this kind of recovery. People who feel supported often show a faster return to physiological baseline after a stressful event, heart rate settling sooner, cortisol levels declining more efficiently, emotional intensity softening at a quicker pace than it might in isolation. This pattern continues clearly in our next thought. People who feel more socially connected tend to recover from stress more effectively overall. This isn't simply about bouncing back quickly in a single moment. It reflects a broader pattern across a person's life, a kind of underlying resilience that connection seems to cultivate over time. The more consistently someone experiences supportive relationships, the more practiced and more efficient their recovery process seems to become. And this leads beautifully into our next point, which reinforces this idea from a slightly different angle. Strong belonging has been linked to better recovery after stress or significant life challenges. Whether the challenge is a difficult diagnosis, a painful loss, a professional setback, or any other significant hardship, a strong sense of belonging appears to meaningfully support the healing process that follows. It seems that recovery isn't only shaped by internal strength or individual coping skills. It's also shaped by the strength of the relationships surrounding a person during their most difficult seasons. This naturally brings us to a related, deeply important idea: the relationship between connection and resilience itself. People with more supportive relationships often show greater resilience during hardship. Resilience is sometimes mistakenly imagined as a purely individual trait, something a person either possesses internally or lacks. But research consistently suggests that resilience is, in large part, relational. It's built not just within a person, but between people, nurtured through consistent support, encouragement, and the simple knowledge that one isn't facing difficulty entirely alone. This idea leads us gently into the final thought of this chapter, one that speaks to some of life's most difficult experiences. Supportive relationships make it noticeably easier for people to cope with grief, failure, and uncertainty. These are among the heaviest emotional experiences a person can face. Grief can feel disorienting, sometimes even isolating in its depth. Failure can shake confidence and stir up old fears of inadequacy. Uncertainty can create a persistent undercurrent of anxiety, especially when the future feels unclear or unstable. And yet, across all of these experiences, supportive relationships consistently appear to ease the burden. A grieving person supported by loved ones often finds space to process their loss more fully, rather than suppressing it in isolation. Someone facing failure, when met with compassion rather than judgment, often finds the resilience to try again. And uncertainty, while never entirely comfortable, becomes far more bearable when faced alongside people who offer steady reassurance and quiet companionship through the unknown. And so, as this chapter draws to a gentle close, an even deeper understanding takes shape. Connection doesn't just support us during life's easier, lighter moments. It becomes especially vital during life's hardest seasons, softening stress, quieting rumination, supporting rest, and offering steady ground beneath us when grief, failure, or uncertainty threaten to feel overwhelming. In the chapter ahead, we'll continue this journey further still, exploring even more about the long-term impact connection has on health, longevity, and the overall arc of human life. For now, let this understanding settle quietly, that healing, resilience, and recovery were never meant to be carried entirely alone. They were always meant to be shared, gently, with the people who choose to walk beside us. Let's continue now, gently turning toward a truth worth holding close, the power that even one meaningful relationship can hold, especially during life's harder chapters. People often recover psychologically faster from setbacks when they have even one trusted, supportive relationship. It's easy to assume that meaningful recovery requires a wide circle of support, an entire community rallying around someone during difficulty. But research suggests something quieter, and in some ways more comforting. A single relationship, if it's genuinely trustworthy and supportive, can make a significant difference in how quickly and how fully someone recovers from hardship. This might be a close friend who checks in without being asked. A family member who simply listens without offering unsolicited advice. A partner who remains steady, present, and reassuring through difficult weeks. Sometimes, it isn't the size of someone's support system that matters most. It's simply knowing that one person, somewhere, is truly in their corner. This connects closely to our next thought, which speaks to something even deeper than recovery, a kind of quiet protection against despair itself. Connection can protect against feelings of hopelessness by reminding people that they matter to others. Hopelessness often grows in silence, in the quiet belief that no one would notice, or care, if things got harder, or disappeared altogether. Connection interrupts this belief. It offers evidence, again and again, that someone's presence in the world is noticed, valued, and missed when absent. Even something as small as a friend reaching out to ask how you're doing can quietly counter the internal narrative that no one would notice your struggle. This reminder that you matter to someone can become a small but powerful anchor during periods when hope feels difficult to hold on to. Now, let's return briefly to something we touched on earlier, and let it settle a bit more deeply this time. Feeling connected can lower stress and improve emotional regulation. We've explored this idea before, but it's worth revisiting here, in this particular context. Because emotional regulation isn't just helpful for daily life. It becomes especially important during moments of real emotional difficulty, moments when despair, hopelessness, or overwhelming stress threaten to take hold. Connection, in these moments, isn't simply a comfort. It can become a genuine emotional lifeline. Now, let's turn towards something more sobering, an important truth about what happens when connection is absent for extended periods of time. People who feel lonely often carry a significantly higher risk of developing depression. Loneliness isn't simply an unpleasant feeling that passes quickly. When it persists over time, it can begin to affect mental health in serious, measurable ways. The absence of felt connection can slowly erode a person's sense of meaning, safety, and emotional stability, creating fertile ground for depressive symptoms to take root. This idea is reinforced clearly in our next thought. Loneliness is consistently associated with a higher risk of developing depression. This isn't an isolated finding. It appears again and again across psychological research, spanning different age groups, different cultures, and different life circumstances. The pattern remains remarkably consistent. Chronic loneliness doesn't just feel difficult in the moment. It can meaningfully increase vulnerability to depression over time. Now, let's turn towards something happening beneath conscious awareness, within the brain itself. Some research suggests that loneliness can actually change the brain, even increasing what's known as threat monitoring. This means that prolonged loneliness may cause the brain to become more vigilant, more alert to potential social threats, such as signs of rejection, exclusion, or disapproval from others. In a sense, the lonelier a person becomes, the more their brain may start scanning the environment for danger. This creates a difficult cycle. A lonely brain, primed to detect social threat, may become more sensitive to perceived slights or rejection, even in situations where none was intended. This heightened vigilance can make new social interactions feel more stressful, sometimes even leading someone to unconsciously withdraw further, deepening the very isolation they're struggling with in the first place. This next fact reveals something perhaps surprising: the way loneliness can influence something as seemingly unrelated as appetite and cravings. Loneliness can increase cravings for calorie-rich food and drink, revealing that social deprivation affects behavior well beyond mood alone. This connection may seem unexpected at first, but it echoes something we explored earlier: the idea that the brain can treat social deprivation similarly to hunger or thirst. When genuine connection feels out of reach, some people may unconsciously turn toward food as a substitute source of comfort, especially foods that offer quick, intense sensory reward. This isn't a matter of willpower or discipline. It reflects a deeper biological pattern, where an unmet emotional need begins to influence behavior in ways that ripple outward, touching areas of life that, on the surface, seem entirely unrelated to loneliness itself. Now, let's turn towards something equally important: the impact loneliness can have not just on mental health, but on physical health as well. loneliness and social isolation are associated with notably worse physical health outcomes overall. This is one of the more sobering truths within this body of research. Chronic loneliness doesn't remain confined to emotional experience. Over time, it appears to influence physical health in measurable, significant ways, contributing to increased risk for a range of health difficulties, and even influencing long-term physical resilience. This idea deepens further in our next thought, which reveals a specific and important physiological mechanism. Social isolation can increase inflammation in the body, even when that isolation is only perceived, rather than objectively real. This is a particularly striking finding. It suggests that the body's inflammatory response isn't simply reacting to actual social circumstances, but to how isolated a person feels internally. Someone could be surrounded by people, yet if they perceive themselves as isolated or disconnected, their body may respond as though genuine isolation were occurring. This idea is reinforced clearly in our final thought for this chapter. Even the perception of being socially isolated can raise inflammation within the body. Inflammation, when chronically elevated, has been linked to a wide range of health concerns over time, touching everything from cardiovascular health to immune function. And remarkably, this inflammatory response appears deeply tied not just to physical circumstances, but to emotional experience, to the felt sense of connection or disconnection someone carries within them. This reveals something profound about the mind-body relationship. The body doesn't simply respond to what's happening around a person. It responds to what a person believes and feels is happening within their relationships and their sense of belonging. And so, as this chapter comes to its gentle close, an important, if sobering, understanding settles into place. Connection isn't only protective when present. Its absence carries real consequences for mental health, for the brain's threat response, for eating behavior, and for the body's physical resilience overall. And yet, held alongside this truth is something hopeful as well. Even a single trusted relationship, even a small reminder that we matter to someone, can meaningfully shift this entire trajectory. In the chapter ahead, we'll continue exploring this delicate balance further, looking closely at how the body and brain respond not just to connection's absence, but to its presence, in even deeper and more lasting ways. For now, let this understanding rest gently, that noticing loneliness, naming it, and reaching toward even one small moment of genuine connection, can become the quiet beginning of finding your way back. Let's move now into territory that may surprise even those who feel they already understand how deeply connection matters: the direct relationship between our social world and our physical immune system. Poor social support can worsen how the body responds to viruses and illnesses. This might seem, at first glance, like an unusual claim. We tend to think of immunity as something governed purely by biology, by genetics, by nutrition, by sleep, by the countless microscopic processes happening within our cells. And certainly, all of these things matter enormously. But research increasingly reveals that our social world plays a meaningful role in this picture as well. When someone lacks adequate social support, their body's ability to mount an effective immune response can actually become compromised. This isn't simply a matter of feeling emotionally unsupported during illness, though that certainly matters too. It reflects something happening at a deeper physiological level, a genuine biological consequence of social deprivation, quietly shaping how well the body can defend itself. This idea becomes even more specific in our next thought. Social isolation and loneliness can worsen illnesses that follow exposure to viruses. In certain studies, researchers have found that individuals experiencing greater social isolation tend to develop more severe symptoms after viral exposure, compared to individuals with stronger social connections. The virus itself may be identical. The biological vulnerability, however, appears to differ, shaped in part by the presence or absence of meaningful social support surrounding a person's life. This is a remarkable thing to consider. It suggests that loneliness doesn't simply make illness feel more difficult emotionally. It may actually influence how severely the illness manifests within the body itself. Now, let's turn toward the more hopeful side of this same biological story. Strong relationships can support immune function and help the body recover more quickly from illness. Just as isolation appears to weaken immune response, connection appears to strengthen it. People with robust social support systems often show more efficient immune activity and tend to recover from illness in shorter time frames, compared to those navigating illness in relative isolation. This might be influenced by several factors working together. Reduced stress, which we now know can suppress immune function when chronically elevated. Better sleep, which we explored earlier as being closely tied to relationship quality. And simply the practical support that often accompanies close relationships, someone bringing soup during a fever, someone checking in gently to ask how recovery is going, someone offering rest and care during a vulnerable time. This connects clearly to our next thought, which widens the picture even further. Strong social bonds are linked to better immune function and healthier inflammation levels overall. We touched briefly on inflammation in our previous chapter, but here the picture becomes even clearer. It's not simply that isolation raises inflammation, as we discussed earlier. The inverse also appears true. Strong, consistent social bonds seem to help regulate inflammation, keeping it at healthier, more balanced levels within the body. Since chronic inflammation has been linked to numerous long-term health concerns, this finding carries significant weight. It suggests that nurturing close relationships isn't simply good for emotional well-being. It may be quietly protective for long-term physical health as well, operating through pathways many people never consider when they think about what keeps a body resilient. Now, let's turn towards something particularly relevant for millions of people living with long-term health conditions. Social support can help people manage chronic conditions, such as hypertension and diabetes, more effectively. Living with a chronic illness often requires sustained discipline, monitoring symptoms, adhering to medication schedules, making consistent lifestyle adjustments, sometimes for years or even a lifetime. This ongoing effort can feel overwhelming when navigated entirely alone. But social support appears to meaningfully ease this burden. Whether it's a family member who helps remember medication times, a friend who offers encouragement during difficult lifestyle changes, or simply the emotional reassurance of not facing a chronic diagnosis in isolation, social support seems to genuinely improve how well people manage these ongoing health challenges. This idea is reinforced clearly in our next thought. Social support from friends and family can improve the management of chronic conditions like hypertension and diabetes. Beyond the emotional comfort this support provides, it often translates into practical, measurable outcomes: more consistent medication adherence, healthier daily habits, and better communication with healthcare providers. Managing a chronic illness well often requires more than willpower alone. It requires a support system capable of reinforcing healthy behavior, especially during moments of fatigue or discouragement. Now, let's turn towards something worth sitting with carefully, a finding that highlights just how significant social network size can be for certain health outcomes. A smaller social network is associated with a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes, along with related complications. This finding adds another layer to our understanding of how deeply social life intertwines with physical health. Researchers have observed that individuals with fewer close relationships tend to show higher risk profiles for this particular condition, along with greater difficulty managing it once diagnosed. This may relate to several interconnected factors: reduced accountability for healthy lifestyle choices, higher chronic stress levels often associated with isolation, and fewer opportunities for the kind of emotional support that helps sustain long-term health behavior changes. Whatever the exact mechanism, the pattern remains clear and consistent across multiple studies. Social connection appears to be more than an emotional luxury. In cases like this, it may function as a genuine protective health factor. Now, let's turn towards something particularly significant: the relationship between connection and cardiovascular health, one of the most extensively studied areas within this entire field. Social connection can lower the risk of heart disease and stroke. This finding has emerged consistently across decades of research, spanning diverse populations and different methods of study. People who maintain strong social ties tend to show meaningfully lower rates of cardiovascular disease, compared to those experiencing chronic social isolation. This protective effect likely operates through multiple pathways working together. Lower chronic stress, which reduces strain on the cardiovascular system over time. Healthier inflammation levels, which we've already explored. Better emotional regulation, which can influence blood pressure and heart rate variability. And often, healthier daily behaviors, encouraged and reinforced through supportive relationships. This idea continues clearly in our next thought. Strong social bonds are linked to a lower risk of both heart disease and stroke. The consistency of this finding across research is worth pausing on. It isn't a single isolated study suggesting this connection. It's a pattern that appears again and again, across different research teams, different populations, and different methodologies, all converging on the same fundamental truth. The strength of someone's relationships appears to meaningfully influence the long-term health of their heart and their vascular system as a whole. And this brings us to our final thought for this chapter, one that completes this particular picture with a somewhat sobering mirror image. Poor social relationships can raise the risk of stroke and heart disease. Just as strong connection appears protective, weak or strained social relationships appear to carry real risk. chronic relational stress, ongoing conflict, or persistent isolation can quietly elevate cardiovascular risk over time, working through many of the same stress-related pathways that we've explored throughout tonight's journey together. This is, in many ways, one of the clearest illustrations of just how deeply intertwined our social world and our physical health truly are. The heart, quite literally, seems to respond to the quality of our relationships, beating a little steadier, a little healthier, in the presence of genuine connection. And so, as this chapter gently comes to a close, a profound picture continues to take shape. The relationships we build and maintain throughout our lives don't simply shape how we feel emotionally. They reach into the body itself, into immune function, into inflammation, into chronic disease management, into the health of the heart and the vascular system that sustains us each day. In the chapter ahead, we'll continue this exploration even further, moving into additional dimensions of health, longevity, and the lasting impact connection has across an entire lifetime. For now, simply let this understanding settle quietly within you, that every warm relationship you've nurtured, every supportive bond you've maintained, has likely been working in your favor in ways far deeper and far more physical than you may have ever realized. Let's turn now towards something that touches one of the most significant health concerns facing aging populations around the world. In older adults, chronic loneliness and isolation are linked to a higher risk of developing dementia. This is a particularly important finding, especially as we consider how populations around the world continue to age. Researchers have observed that older adults experiencing persistent social isolation tend to show a meaningfully higher risk of cognitive decline over time, compared to those who maintain regular, meaningful social engagement. This may relate to several factors working together. Social interaction naturally exercises the brain, requiring memory, language processing, emotional interpretation, and complex reasoning, all within the flow of ordinary conversation. When this stimulation disappears for extended periods, certain cognitive functions may weaken from simple lack of use. Combined with the elevated stress and inflammation we've discussed throughout this journey, chronic loneliness appears to create conditions within the aging brain that may accelerate cognitive vulnerability over time. This is part of why maintaining social connection later in life isn't simply about combating loneliness in an emotional sense. It appears to serve a genuinely protective function for the mind itself, helping preserve cognitive health well into later decades of life. Now, let's turn to something that places all of this within an even larger context. Social connection can be as important for overall health as basic lifestyle factors, and a lack of it has been linked to serious health risk. This is a striking way to frame everything we've explored so far. We tend to think of health primarily in terms of diet, exercise, sleep, and avoiding harmful habits. And certainly, these factors matter enormously. But research increasingly suggests that social connection deserves a place directly alongside these traditional pillars of health, rather than being treated as a secondary, optional consideration. This idea becomes even more pointed in our next thought, one that may genuinely surprise many listeners tonight. Lack of social connection can be worse for health than some traditional risk factors, including obesity, smoking, and high blood pressure. Let that idea settle for a moment. These are risk factors most people recognize instantly as serious health concerns, ones doctors routinely screen for, ones public health campaigns have spent decades warning against. And yet, some research suggests that chronic loneliness and isolation may carry a comparable, or even greater, health risk than these well-known factors. This doesn't diminish the importance of managing physical health factors like blood pressure or avoiding smoking. Rather, it elevates something that has often been overlooked. It suggests that nurturing meaningful relationships deserves the same level of intentional care and attention that we might give to diet, exercise, or medical checkups, not as something optional or secondary, but as a genuine pillar of long-term health. Now, let's turn towards something that touches the very length of a human life. Social connection is associated with a longer lifespan, along with a lower risk of early death. Across large-scale studies following populations over many years, researchers have consistently found that individuals with strong social ties tend to live longer, healthier lives, compared to those experiencing chronic isolation. This isn't a small or incidental finding. It represents one of the most robust patterns within longevity research as a whole. This idea continues clearly in our next thought. Social connection can reduce the risk of premature death. Premature death, in research terms, refers to death occurring earlier than the average expected lifespan for a given population. And remarkably, social connection appears to function as a meaningful protective factor against this outcome, reducing risk across numerous studies spanning different countries, cultures, and demographic groups. This pattern holds steady in our next thought as well. Social connection can lower the risk of premature death. The consistency of this finding across so much research deserves genuine appreciation. It isn't a fragile, occasional result appearing in just one or two studies. It's a well-established pattern, replicated again and again, offering strong scientific confidence in just how significant social connection truly is for long-term survival. And this brings us, naturally, to the reverse side of this same relationship. Social isolation can increase the risk of premature mortality. Just as connection appears protective, isolation appears to carry real, measurable risk. This mirrors much of what we've explored throughout tonight's journey: chronic stress, weakened immune function, elevated inflammation, poorer cardiovascular health, and now, ultimately, increased risk to lifespan itself. Isolation, it seems, doesn't simply create emotional hardship. Over time, it can meaningfully shorten the length of a human life. Now, let's turn towards something that offers a clearer sense of scale to this entire conversation. Strong relationships are linked to better longevity, with some studies finding a sizable survival benefit associated with robust social connection. Some research in this area has found that individuals with strong social ties show survival advantages comparable to some of the most well-established health interventions we know of. This places social connection in genuinely rare company, alongside factors long recognized as central to long, healthy living. It's a remarkable thing to consider. That something as seemingly simple as maintaining close, supportive relationships could carry health implications on par with far more clinical, medically emphasized interventions. And yet, across decades of careful research, This is precisely the picture that continues to emerge. Now, let's turn towards something a little more practical, the way relationships often shape our daily behavior in health-supportive ways, sometimes without us even realizing it. Healthy relationships can encourage better habits, such as eating well, avoiding risky behavior, and seeking help sooner when something feels wrong. This influence often unfolds quietly, almost invisibly, within the rhythm of everyday life. A partner who cooks nourishing meals may gently shape someone's eating habits over time. A close friend who encourages moderation may subtly reduce someone's tendency toward risky behavior. A family member who notices early warning signs of illness may encourage someone to seek medical care sooner, rather than delaying until a problem becomes more serious. These influences rarely arrive as direct instruction. More often, they emerge through example, through gentle encouragement, through the simple accountability that close relationships tend to create. Over the span of years, these small influences can meaningfully shape the overall trajectory of someone's health and well-being. And finally, for this chapter, let's turn towards something many people recognize instinctively, even if they've never considered its deeper significance. Connection can improve physical activity levels, largely because people are more likely to exercise consistently when they do so with others, or when they feel a sense of accountability within a group. Think about how much easier a morning walk feels when a friend joins you. How much more consistent a workout routine becomes when it's shared with a partner, or built around a regular class filled with familiar faces. Social connection often transforms exercise from a solitary obligation into a shared, motivating experience. This accountability doesn't need to feel like pressure. Often, it feels more like companionship, a gentle reminder that someone is expecting you, that your presence matters to the shared activity, that showing up isn't just good for your own health, but meaningful to someone else's experience as well. And so, as this chapter gently comes to a close, one of the most striking pictures of this entire journey continues to deepen. Connection doesn't simply support emotional well-being, or even general physical health in a broad sense. It appears to meaningfully influence some of the most serious health outcomes a person can face: cognitive decline, chronic disease, cardiovascular health, and ultimately, the very length of a human life. Few things reach this deeply into nearly every dimension of human health and longevity all at once. In our next and final chapter together, we'll bring this entire journey full circle, reflecting on everything we've explored, and gently considering what all of this means for how we choose to live, and love, and connect with one another. For now, let this understanding settle quietly, one more time, into the stillness around you, that the simple, ordinary act of staying close to the people who matter to you may be one of the most powerful things you can do, not only for your heart, but for the whole of your life. Let's continue, and gently bring this entire journey toward its close. Shared activity often works better than isolation for habits like exercise, even when people believe they prefer doing things alone. This is a subtle but important insight. Many people assume they're more disciplined, more focused, more effective when working independently. And in certain contexts, that may be true. But when it comes to sustaining habits over the long term, particularly physical ones, shared activity tends to outperform solitary effort, even among those who initially believed they preferred going it alone. There's something about the presence of another person, whether it's a training partner, a walking companion, or simply a familiar face at a regular class, that quietly strengthens consistency. Motivation dips less. Excuses feel less convincing. The simple accountability of showing up for someone else, even informally, often carries a habit further than willpower alone ever could. Now, let's turn towards something that touches how we see ourselves. Positive relationships can improve self-esteem, along with a stronger sense of belonging. The way others treat us, over time, quietly shapes the way we come to see ourselves. When someone consistently experiences kindness, respect, and genuine regard from the people around them, this often becomes internalized, gradually shaping a more secure, more confident sense of self-worth. This isn't about flattery or empty praise. It's about the accumulated weight of being treated as someone who matters. Someone worth listening to. Someone worth caring for. Over years, this kind of consistent regard tends to build something durable within a person, a quiet, steady confidence that doesn't depend on constant external validation, but rests instead on a long history of genuine connection. This leads us into something even deeper, the relationship between connection and a sense of purpose. Being connected to others can increase a person's sense of purpose and give life more meaning. Purpose rarely exists in a vacuum. Even deeply personal goals, creative pursuits, career ambitions, private passions, often gain their fullest meaning through relationship. A creative work becomes more meaningful when shared with someone who appreciates it. A career milestone feels more significant when celebrated alongside people who understand its importance. Even quiet, personal growth often finds its deepest meaning in the context of relationships that witness and honor that growth. This idea continues in our next thought. Social connection can make life feel more meaningful, especially when people feel they genuinely belong to a group. There's a particular kind of meaning that comes specifically from group belonging, a sense of being part of something larger than any single individual life. A family. A community. A shared cause. A team working towards something significant together. This kind of belonging often adds a layer of meaning that purely individual pursuits, however fulfilling, sometimes struggle to fully replicate. And this deepens even further in our next thought. Belonging to a group can make life feel more meaningful, and can create a genuine sense of continuity and permanence. There's something quietly profound about feeling part of something that extends beyond your own individual timeline, a family lineage, a cultural tradition, a community with history stretching both behind and ahead of you. This sense of continuity can offer a particular kind of comfort, especially when facing life's more uncertain or difficult chapters. It reminds a person that they're part of an ongoing story, larger and more enduring than any single moment of hardship they might currently be facing. Now, let's turn towards something that touches how people experience their own health, quite apart from clinical measurements alone. A strong sense of community belonging is associated with better self-rated health. Self-rated health, the way someone personally perceives and describes their own overall wellness, is a surprisingly powerful predictor of actual health outcomes over time. And interestingly, this personal sense of health appears meaningfully influenced by community belonging. People who feel genuinely part of a community often describe their own health more positively, even when accounting for other physical health factors. This idea is reinforced clearly in our next thought. A strong sense of belonging within a community is linked to better self-rated health. This consistency across research suggests something worth appreciating fully. Health isn't only a matter of biological measurements, blood pressure readings, cholesterol levels, laboratory results. It's also shaped by perception, by felt experience, by the emotional context surrounding a person's daily life. Community belonging appears to genuinely shape how healthy, how resilient, how capable a person feels within their own body and life circumstances. Now, let's return once more to an idea we've explored earlier, allowing it to settle a bit more fully within this final chapter. Social connection is linked to greater trust and cooperation, which helps groups work better together. As we bring this journey toward its conclusion, this idea feels especially fitting. So much of what makes human life function well, families, communities, workplaces, entire societies, depends on this quiet, foundational capacity for trust and cooperation, built patiently through consistent connection over time. Now, let's turn towards something worth acknowledging honestly, as we approach the final threads of this exploration. People low in social connection are more vulnerable to antisocial behavior, which can create even more isolation. This represents a particularly difficult cycle. When someone experiences chronic disconnection, they may, sometimes unconsciously, begin engaging in behaviors that push others further away, increased irritability, difficulty trusting others, withdrawal from social opportunities, or reactive behavior rooted in accumulated hurt and loneliness. And these behaviors, unfortunately, can deepen the very isolation the person may already be struggling against. This isn't a matter of character or moral failing. It's a reflection of how deeply disconnection can affect the nervous system, the emotional regulation systems, and the trust mechanisms we've explored throughout this entire journey. Recognizing this cycle with compassion, rather than judgment, is often the first gentle step toward interrupting it, whether in ourselves or in someone else who may be quietly struggling. And now, we arrive at the final thought of our journey together tonight, one that gathers everything we've explored into a single, quiet truth. Humans have always needed one another. Long before written history, long before language as we know it today, long before anything resembling modern civilization, connection was already essential to human survival. And across everything we've explored across these many hours together, the biology, the brain chemistry, the emotional regulation, the immune function, the cardiovascular health, the cognitive resilience, the sense of purpose and meaning, one truth continues to echo throughout every single finding. Despite all of our modern technology, despite the countless ways the world has changed since our earliest ancestors first learned to survive together in small, cooperative groups, genuine human connection remains one of the strongest foundations of a healthy, resilient, meaningful life. We now live in an era of remarkable convenience. We can communicate instantly across vast distances. We can access endless information, entertainment, and stimulation, often without ever having to leave our homes. And yet, despite all of this progress, the fundamental architecture of the human brain and body remains largely unchanged from those earliest days of shared survival. We still need warmth. We still need to be seen. We still need the steady presence of people who know us, who care for us, who remind us that we belong. Perhaps this is one of the most important truths to carry forward from everything we've explored together tonight. That amid all the noise and complexity of modern life, some of the simplest things remain among the most powerful. A conversation with someone who truly listens. A hand offered during a difficult moment. A shared meal, a quiet walk together, a familiar voice on the other end of a call. These small, ordinary moments of connection are not simply pleasant additions to a good life. They are, in many ways, the very foundation of one. As we close this long journey together, let this final understanding settle gently within you, the way night settles slowly over a quiet landscape. You were never meant to move through this life entirely alone. Your need for connection is not a weakness, nor an inconvenience, nor something to overcome. It is, quite simply, one of the oldest and most beautiful parts of what it means to be human. Wherever you are right now, whoever has walked beside you through this one life you've been given, let yourself feel, if only for a moment, the quiet gratitude of not being alone in this world. And as you rest now, let your mind soften, let your body settle, and let this simple truth carry you gently into sleep, that you are, and always have been, worthy of connection, worthy of belonging, worthy of being truly, deeply known.